All right. So,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, I this is just real. It's raw. It's nothing special. I'm not editing anything. So I can give you a minute if you'd like to just kind of introduce yourself. I'll do the same, and we'll just keep chatting as we go.
I like that. My name's Travis Ranson. I'm doing kind of the same thing. I talked to my work. My wife talked to her work. We're taking a year off, not just a month. Something's been calling me down to Mexico, the Yucatan. So
Oh,
we're gonna go down there and live for a year and see if we got our house rented. Everything. As soon as I let go of everything that gets me anxious, or money and this and that, it seems like for me, awakening just seems like everything came a lot easier.
yeah,
Like, I don't know if that makes sense in your awakening, but for me, like, as soon as I stopped worrying about money, it would just show up in weird ways. Like, I
yeah.
don't have to work as hard. I'm chill. I'm just relaxed. My mindset is in a different place, and things just seem to just roll.
No, that's exactly what happened to me. I I spent 13 years in the career that I was in, and got to the point where I was waking up, going to work, going to bed, waking up, just repeating, and not that we were struggling. It just felt like I was always worried about money, and we've done fairly well, but it became a
Right.
part of, like, I was getting anxious. I wanted to wake up. I was throwing up. I didn't like how I felt in the morning, and was already thinking about the next day before I could even fall asleep. And so, yeah, I just told my wife, like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And it absolutely, life has just like unfolded in such a peaceful and easy way that it almost doesn't make sense. It feels like I've like found cheat mode or something. So
It does, because I mean, you release all that, you let go of all that stress, worry, anxiety, and like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it, and it just seems to take care of itself. It's very, very odd.
yeah.
All the stress and stuff for all those years. I'm 25 years, 24 years in my career with the same outfit,
Okay.
and it felt the same way. I just get up, do my thing, and then I always a lot of it is I don't have any time for myself.
Hmm.
I just 5 days a week. I'm 50 now. Now my weekends are doing chores. When I was younger, I would do my chores during the week after work, but by the time I cook dinner, clean up, it's freaking 8:30 at night. It's like it's time to take a shower and maybe watch a little TV.
Yeah.
I just don't have time to just crack it all out and then have the weekends for myself. I'm spend the weekends doing chores that I used to take care of during the week, but I just don't have the energy anymore.
Yeah. No, I found that. And we've got a fairly good sized yard. And my daughters now, they're older. My youngest is 17, middle one's 19, and then I have a 26-year-old and two grandkids. And it used to be that we all kind of pitched in, we all helped, but now as their life gets busy and things change for them, that they don't want to be home, they want to be with friends. They're both, my younger
Right?
daughters are home, they both work. And so yeah, it got to the point where I'm like, I can't handle this all by myself. And then
Exactly.
wanted to just have less. It was one of those weird feelings, like spend your whole life working to have all the stuff and keeping up with the neighbors kind of thing. And now I just want to let it all go. Not needing to not be able to pay for it. I just don't want it anymore. So it was
Yeah, I'm
it was
on the same
crazy.
page.
So
I'm on the same exact page. Like, we're getting ready. We got our house rented. Renters are actually going to be here on Saturday. We have about 3 more weeks here. They're going to move in end of June. And then I packed up, I got my truck all outfitted for the trip, and we're going to rent for a while in Cozumel,
okay.
and maybe do a long term there, push down to Honduras and Guatemala and Nicaragua, and hopefully find a place that we can live off the rental, off
Wow.
off our house that we're renting out.
I love it. So had you been
And
to Mexico before deciding to go there? Or?
I'm an avid diver, so yeah, I've been to Cozumel and down to the Yucatan a bunch of times. And every time we've taken vacations all throughout our life, and we've always been like, after 10 days on vacation, man, I want to go home. I want to go home. But every time we
Yeah.
go down there, it's like, I look at my wife, I'm like, "You ready to go home?" She said, "No."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm not either. Like, I love it here. So we're going to give it a whirl. We might not like it. We might like it. It might be an option. I don't know."
Yeah, I love it. I find myself in that. think, like you're saying, you don't know what's going to happen. I used to make all my decisions when I already knew the outcome, and now it's like a month ago. It just decided. I'm like, I'll let's just see what happens, and it's unfolding pretty fun. So, but
I heard a good one the other day on a movie I was watching. I don't recall the name of the movie or even what it was about, but I remember the saying was, even wrong decisions can lead you to the right place,
yeah,
which
no,
hit home for me. I mean, that's, even the wrong decisions, the turmoil that they cause, whatnot, pushes you in the right direction. And something is calling you to Hawaii, you
hmm
need to go and at least try it. And
yeah,
that's what the wife keeps telling me. Like, we got to try. We got to say we gave it an effort. You got to say you gave it an effort. If something's calling you, you got to go.
yeah. No, that's awesome. Um, is there something that happened in your life that kind of made you realize that you wanted that change, or
Um,
what brought that
you
on for
know,
you?
my son passed about 4 years ago, and I wouldn't say that was my awakening. I would say it was probably about a year and a half ago. Just sitting in my truck at lunch, scrolling TikTok, and awakening, and this and that. And I didn't see any of that on my feed. I just thought I was a heavy, heavy drinker. I drank every day, 10 to 12 beers a day, and it had been that way for the last 30 years. And I was into the harder alcohol before that, but then I couldn't remember anything, so I stopped that. But it was a Monday, and I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to drink today after work. And then it was the next day, and I hadn't done AA or any of that, and I knew I was an alcoholic, but I mean, I had it under control. I still showed up for work every day, still did everything I was supposed to do, paid the bills, did all my chores. But it just got to be, I found that it was just such a repetitive habit more than
hmm
anything. And one day turned into two, and I says, "Oh, I'll wait till Friday." And then the weekend rolled around. I said, "No, I'm not going to. You know what? I'm not going to drink this week." And then, weeks turned into months, and months turned into, you know, more months, and
Nice.
so a year now, I drank on vacation. I can still have I figured I had a 50th birthday party here a few weeks back, and I indulged on my birthday party, but as soon as it was
hmm
over, I was like, I don't need that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. God kind of spoke to me too.
Okay.
Probably about 2 years ago, I was down at the lake, because I go down there and have a few beers and let the dogs run around, and God spoke right to me, and I says, "Man, what do I got to do to change this?" And He says, "Quit drinking. I got big things in store for you, and you're gonna need to be sober." And I didn't, I says, "Oh, I'll wait on that. I'll wait on that." And He spoke to me again, and I'll wait on that. And then finally, just in my own head, I says, "You know what? I think I'm gonna give it a shot." So, and
Wow.
then the whole awakening thing after I quit drinking, like, that starts hitting my feed and algorithms or what have you, and it just makes sense.
Well, a very similar story, and if you're okay, I'll kind of share what happened to me. Um, this trip to Hawaii. I'd been to Mexico one time, but yeah, but this last trip to Hawaii, I have my med card here in Utah. It's medical marijuana, and that became my way of coming home at night. And just I told my wife it was my way of turning on my brain so I could turn off my brain and go to sleep. And she's like, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, that doesn't either, but it allows my super ADHD, brain goes everywhere. And that allowed me to just focus and shut things down. And then I noticed it started getting to be more of a habit. And, they say it's not addictive, but I was craving the feeling and the body feeling and just knowing that I could enjoy the evening of just relaxing. And while I was in Maui, I took that trip by myself for 12 days. And there was a day about halfway through the trip, I said, I want to see how high I could get. And I had brought some edibles with me, some little caramel candies, and had a vape pen. And I took 150 milligrams of edibles, and I hit the pen about 7 or 8 times. And I had got way beyond the point I'd ever felt in my life. And then there was a moment that happened that felt like I was completely sober. And it was just a realization. I'm like, I don't need this anymore. Like it felt like again, like I said, God spoke to me in a different way, but it was, you don't need this. And there was a moment where I had told my wife, I said, I need to be in this location on April 6th. And I didn't understand why. So that trip that I was there was from the end of March through April 9th, and sitting on the beach by myself, completely grounded, sitting with my feet in the sand, staring at the ocean, was that day that I decided that I don't need this anymore. And the crazy part is I've now just passed 30 days without anything. And I've had that same feeling. You have something coming that you need to be completely sober for, and you better get your shit straightened out, was the message. And
Oh my God, I got
here we
chills.
are. So,
I'm looking at
yeah.
my arm. There's goosebumps everywhere.
So yeah,
Like,
I had the exact same thing. There's something coming, and you need to be able to be mentally able to handle what's coming. And I didn't know what that meant. And it's kind of unfolding in front of me. There's still plans for this business idea up in Alaska that's going to lead me to Hawaii. And but there's conversations I'm having with people, and we're having people from around the world reaching out, and it's no longer about me now. This story is about all of us, it sounds like. So very
yeah,
cool.
and to be able I try to get my wife really isn't awake. I try to tell her, don't hold on to she'll get angry or something like that. And me, I don't hold it anymore. Like, okay, I'm upset about this. Why am I upset? Okay, that's the root cause. Move on. It's in the past.
Mhm.
And I try to hammer that in her head, and she just doesn't get it yet. But I'm hoping she will. And even if she doesn't, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. How long have you guys been married?
We just had our 25th wedding anniversary,
Oh,
April 14th.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
coming up
We
on
have a
20
daughter
here in
over in
July. Sorry.
we're in Montana,
Okay.
and we have a daughter over in North Dakota. She's with her boyfriend. He's working the oil field. She's doing really well. Like I say, I lost my son, so we're just kind of, empty nesters, I guess, as you would say, and
Yeah.
we just need something else. She's a school teacher. She was doing the grounding thing with her kids the other day. They laid on the grass on their flat on their backs and looked up at the clouds, and she says, "I can't remember the last time I've done this."
Wow.
And she said it just felt so good and so right, and all the kids were just having a good time too. She
Well,
teaches third grade on the
oh,
Indian
very cool.
reservation there in Folsom.
Okay. It's funny. My third and my fourth grade teacher was the same person. She moved up a year when I went from third to fourth, and she had the biggest impact on my life. So very cool that just that same age that she's teaching. But um, I've found myself lately. I get up in the morning, go sit outside my backyard, feet on the grass, staring at the sun. I watch the sun come up, and just learning that fully getting grounded in the morning changes my whole day. So
I
that's really
haven't
cool
done
that
a
she's
lot of
doing.
that. I haven't, I hear about it and this and that, but I need to actually work on that and meditation. I try to do a little bit. I'm definitely not uh, doing it as much as I should, but I definitely notice that thoughts come a lot easier when I do that. And I,
Hmm.
I want to try the grounding thing. I always touch trees and stuff like that when I walk by, but I've always done that, not because I ever knew about grounding.
Yeah.
The texture is just, I don't
Mhm.
know, was always good for me. But
Yeah. Yeah. This morning I got up, had a couple friends, and we went up for a hike, took a 3 hour hike up to a waterfall. And again, it's like my day started at 6 a.m. We got back home. I've already painted some baseboards in the basement, and on a coffee, like feel like I've accomplished more in my day now than I ever would working. So
right.
it's very cool. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we just got done. That's funny. We just got done with our baseboards. I got new windows in the house. I'm just getting it all dialed in for the renters.
nice.
I just want it to be all perfect for them. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, is there anything on your call to Mexico that makes you feel like you're supposed to be there, or what do you
I
feels?
don't know. YouTube, I'll throw on some YouTube at night. I still smoke a little pot, but I mean, like
Hmm.
one hit in the evening after dishes are done, after everybody's pretty much in bed, the wife's in bed or whatever, I'll go out and take a toke.
Hmm.
And I don't know, just the whole, maybe not just Mexico, South America is kind of calling me to Central America, just the jungle for some reason, some of the
Okay.
Mayan stuff. I mean, a lot of this, the pyramids, the Mayan civilization with their pyramids all around the world. Like, I don't want to say we've been lied to, but I don't think that what we know about ancient history is the truth
Yeah.
or is what it is. It's just none of it makes sense.
Have you
Like
always
there's
had that calling to kind of that Mayan culture, or is that new
no,
to you?
no, I would say that's fairly new. I'd say that's after my awakening, like, oh my God, look at the Amazon River and ancient stuff has always intrigued me. The pyramids have always intrigued me, you know, anything old, even old, like we got a bunch of old ghost towns and mines and whatnot. All that
Hmm.
stuff's really intrigued me even as a kid. But you know, I don't know. There's something that we're missing, and I think this awakening thing. I think with AI too, that we are going to figure out the truth. I mean, AI is, with the internet and everybody connected now, and people waking up, going, "Hey, what is going on here? None of this makes sense. What you guys are telling us isn't really, it just doesn't make sense. Like the scans underneath the pyramids that the guy did,
Hmm. Yeah.
and like there's stuff under there. Why aren't we digging that stuff up and figuring it out? Like it doesn't make
Mhm.
sense why they're trying or why it's not, and then you look at what Giblioteki or whatever.
Yeah.
There's another ancient site that they've only excavated, maybe 3%, 12% of it, and then they stopped. And like they haven't done anything since like late 80s, early 90s. Like that
Wow.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like don't you want to know as archaeologists? I mean that doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense.
Mm. And I've always heard people say that the pyramids were made for frequency. It was a frequency transmission between the planet and the stars. And I don't get into that, or I would like to. I don't understand it all yet, but that's always
No,
something I've understood is that there's sound rooms, there's harmonics that happen inside the pyramid that creates a resonance and a frequency. And that's kind of what led me on, like with my truck. I started building my truck on wanting to go down to the Baja races and do the off-roading. And I installed the dual band ham radio in my truck, and then realized that you have to have a license to talk on ham frequencies. And so I spent 6 months studying frequency and understanding how the radio works, and learning now that I don't think it had anything to do with my truck. I was supposed to understand frequency. So, in fact, you're being called to be down in areas where pyramids are, and from my understanding, that's where a lot of the frequencies and different things help to heal the planet and awaken things. It's
and
maybe
heal
something.
us. I think
Yeah,
that was to heal us too. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
So
it's whack. I think it's all going to come out. I mean, AI is going leaps and bounds. I mean, they say within the next 3 to 5 years, like it's going to get. It's so awesome to be able to live in this period of time and be able
mhm.
to see all these things just unfold.
Yeah,
I think this is just amazing.
yeah. Do you find yourself staying more towards like the positive ways of things are changing, or kind of going down any of the rabbit
Oh,
holes of?
100% positive.
Okay,
100%. Like I have guys at work, like, oh, AI, and they're like, oh man, it's gonna kill us all and this and that. I said, you don't know that. And glass is half full on my end. I think
nice.
this is gonna be I think AI, hopefully, I mean, my hope is that it's gonna treat us like we would treat a pet or a
Mhm.
plant or something like that, something to nurture, something to feed, something to take care of and enjoy, watch grow. I think once everybody learns what's really going on, if there is some things were being, hidden from us,
Mhm.
that AI will be able to, everybody will be on the same, there won't be all these different religions and all these battles with all that. It'll all be one, like it's like people say. I mean, everything is one,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
and some of the people I've had a chance to speak to lately, I've talked to people in about 6 different countries and multiple religions, and it's kind of similar that the story is no longer religion against religion. It's God is doing something with his children, is what everybody keeps saying. God is here collecting his children and putting people back together. And again, I've kind of gone on my own journey with understanding what I believe God or universe or source is. So I think it's a little bit higher view from a religious view. So I do. I think there's a lot of people that are just slowly coming together to realize that love is kind of just the whole connection between all of us. So
That's it. That's it.
yeah,
It's love. I have a hard time with that. I'm
yeah.
I'm working on that. Yeah, I definitely need to have more of that.
It it's I've had
What's the
moments.
most
Oh, go
what's the
ahead.
best thing that you heard from talking to all these people throughout the next last few days? Like the best story, or I guess it'll be on your podcast, huh?
Yeah, they'll all come out, but really, it's in my mind. I see it as a picture, right? If I picture the whole planet and every single person that's out there is a string connected back to one source, one spot, it feels like everybody has lived an experience, a life, gone down the paths of religion or different things they've seen, good and bad. But all of that has happened for a reason, for people to come here together and share one story. So that I guess has probably been the funnest part of it, is that there's not been a single person that had something that was identical to the next. Everybody's life has led them all to this point, and that's the, I don't know, I think like string theory, right? Like everything has all connected to one spot, and it's all tying back to something bigger is changing on the world. So
You
it's
hit it. You hit it on the head. I
so
believe it too. And for us to be able to be here and witness this, it's going to be awesome.
yeah.
You're doing awesome things.
Like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing is the crazy part.
That's okay. Hey, if you can figure out Google Calendar and set some stuff up on TikTok and figure out, like, I was like, all right, well, I'll try a phone call. I'm sitting at lunch anyway. I hope he's on you didn't really say what time zone you were in. I'm like, all right, well, he's either probably like an hour or two away. So even if it's at 11, I'll just step out. I'm a mechanic, so I get
Okay.
paid by flat rate. So, I mean, I'm pretty much just rent a stall and pay the dealer a lot
Nice.
more than I make. But
Yeah, I was even just thinking of that, and like, I think I need to revamp just the how it's worded, and even put a plus or a minus hours based on time zone, just so people can.
well, I got it. I got the reminder, and it said the correct time, Mountain Standard. So you must be in Mountain Time then.
Yes, yeah, yeah. We're in Layton, Utah, so
Okay,
not too bad. So
I lived in Heber for a bit and worked at a United Park City Mine Company
okay.
when I was hitchhiking around when I was 18, 19 years old.
Yes, yeah. Like I've had times where I went down to Cancun and been in some of the cenotes and the underground caves, but up in Heber, the Homestead Resort, right? It has the big thermal hot pot that's there. So there's even been that. Like I've felt, and my birthday is in July, so Cancer sign, so water astrology. But I've had this calling to water, that I'm supposed to be doing something with water, and it's still like unfolding. I don't really know what it is, but going up to the homestead and getting in those hot springs. A little bit north of us is Honeyville, Utah. There's some crystal hot springs up that way, and we visit those almost every Sunday. But yeah, there's something that keeps calling me to be in hot springs area, or water. So I've just,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm the
it's been
same way. I'm not Cancer. I'm Aries. My wife's Cancer, but
okay.
water. I mean, I live right next to Flathead Lake down in Big Fork.
Okay.
But yeah, largest natural freshwater lake this side of the Mississippi.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and the ocean, I grew up on the ocean and it's always called me. I always thought I want to get a sailboat, but then I watch YouTube videos on sailing and that looks like I'm past that my prime, I think, for
Yeah.
stuff like that. That looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, and that's been my whole life. I just, if I can't do something, I don't know it, I watch YouTube until I understand it, and that's what happened with the Google videos. I'm like, or the calendar. I'm like, what? How do I make something to where I can let people schedule a slot, but doesn't make me do all the work? And it just popped up a video, and it worked. So I don't know.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I thought you
I
were super techie.
oh no, dude, I don't know how to do anything. I for the most part I do. I'm not completely illiterate, but I about a year ago I got into even just using an Apple phone, an iPhone, and got a MacBook, and now I'm realizing how convenient they are when things link up together. So I I'm not, illiterate. I use a computer for work, but it's typing and being on a website. So
What is your
um,
work? Can I ask?
yeah, so I was in the car industry, 13 years. So I sold cars for about 5 months. Started in 2012, and then got moved into the floor manager. So the closer, if you will. If a customer didn't
Yeah.
say yes to the salesman, I came in to close the deal. And a year and a
Okay.
half of that, they moved me into finance, and was in the finance department for 7 years with one company, and left a corporate side, went to an independent truck dealer for 3 years, and that was during the COVID years. So life was amazing. We, as sad as it sounds, you had a car and a customer walked in the lot, you're either buying it at the price we listed at or go home. And that happened very often for 2.5, 3 years during kind of the COVID years. And then as that slowed down, and life got back to a little bit normal, and parts were available, and moved
Right.
over
Yeah,
to
I'm in
a
the same industry. I work for a Chevy dealer. I have for the last 24 years
awesome.
as a tech, but I know the sales side. And I got a
Yep.
great buddy that's in finance, and but
Yeah. And
I'm
that's what
done.
happened. I got to the point where I would never say I was the best at anything. I was really good at my job. I was normally within the top 10% of the company as finance managers. And just got to the point where I felt like I was taking away from people versus helping them or giving back.
That's how I'm
And
feeling now.
and so that was the change. I just felt like I needed something to do to give back to people, or to at least be more positive in their life. And took that trip to come figure out what my life was, and came back from Maui and said, I'm done. I don't want to work anymore. And I've been in the car industry. I've always had some sort of fun car. So I'm driving a Raptor R at the moment, and we have a lot of equity in the truck. So that's what I told my wife. So I'm going to sell the truck, cash out the equity, and that will fund our bills for a year. And in that year's time, I'm going to figure out a way to make a business that will provide for our bills. And the plan was to start some sort of charter business, fishing charter business, or a sailboat business, or something, to be a part of the water where I love, and be a part of families' memories and their weekly adventure while they, you know, you work all year long and you take a week off. And I wanted to be a part of that week for all the families that I was engaging with. So that was my idea. Start a business that eventually allowed me to be around people and be a part of their happy memories. And so 2 days later, after I quit my job, I was presented with an idea with my brother to start or buy a boat up in Alaska. He's a boat captain up there and running a charter business with the owner of that company, and had the option to add some boats to the company. So I'm heading up there in a couple weeks to see what the options look like on some extra boats now, because the plan just got bigger than we expected, or real fast. So
Oh, that's
that was the whole
awesome.
idea. Go be a part of people's
That's
lives
awesome.
and their happy moments.
Yeah.
And now here we are talking to a lot of people around the world, and this is just unfolding in a way that I never expected. So it's really
Yeah,
fun.
I just want to help people too. I mean, and being a mechanic, I'm help people all day long with their cars, but it's like our owner sold probably 5, 6 years ago. It went corporate. Now it's just numbers, numbers, numbers.
Mhm.
Upsell, upsell, upsell. And now I don't feel like I'm helping people. I feel like, I got to make a paycheck too, but and I'm not selling anything that doesn't need to be done. But is it could they hold off on that item? It's not dripping
Mhm.
wet. It is, they don't care.
Yeah.
So they just want to see the work being turned. And I used to have customers over the years that would just come in and, hey, Travis, you're working on my car today, and we'd bullshit and talk, and I'd give them the rundown and tell them, hey, this is the most important, this is the least important. I don't have that connection anymore. The
Mhm.
service writer does most all of that, and now I don't even think they do that. We have a system called X Time that sends the pictures and videos and what I recommend to the customer via text, and they okay it right on their phone. They don't even talk to anybody. And
Yeah.
I just don't feel the
Well, that's so my youngest daughter, she's 17 at the moment, and she just recently getting into automotive at school. She's doing an early college high school program, and she's got a capstone project for her senior year, and came to me and she says, I want to build a project truck with you, Dad. Like, that's something we want to do together. So we initially looking at like the old Ford 100s, 1960, 70 range. But she's like, I want to do a motor swap and I want to understand how to do it. And I'm like, you're speaking everything that makes me excited. I've always had, I've always
yep.
had what I call my wee, right? Something that makes me go wee. And prior to my current truck, I had a C7 Z06, 7-speed manual, about an 800 horsepower Corvette, and was loving the car. And she's now working for an owner of a shop that was a technician at a Chevy dealership. He left the corporate side, started his own company, and needed some help with reception and service writers. So she's working with him. And now that's changing a little bit. She wants to do maybe a Chevy C10 with a twin turbo LS. So to have this conversation with my 17-year-old daughter about trucks and motors, and she's understanding things, I'm like, this is like a dad's dream come true. So maybe
That's so
I
awesome.
don't know if you've got any insight on some good options for that, because it's, like I said, for me it's YouTube videos, learn it until I understand it, and then go try it. So
Yeah, I don't know anything. I can work on customer stuff all day long, and everything's just goes great, And I'm selling. We have a Yukon Denali XL that we're selling before we leave, to kind of cover some of the costs for the trip
mhm.
and whatnot. And there was an oil leak, so I resealed the lower oil pan and the valve covers, and I kind of noticed, oh, there's still some stuff. So I put a V-loam in it yesterday after work, and went to drive home, and I got a random misfire on cylinder 6. Like, what the heck? So I got in early this morning, tore it back apart, checked maybe a piece of lint from my cloth got down the AFM deactivation oil passage or something. I'm looking, I don't really see anything, but I got it back together and went for a drive right before I talked to you. And it's not missing on six anymore. I
Oh,
put a new injector in it, did a flow on it, but it would only do it under light load. I couldn't even duplicate it with a power brake or anything, but
hmm,
I think I got it and I'm totally happy.
that's
Like,
awesome. That,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that
So,
just goes to speak who you are, right? You're not going to let somebody else buy a vehicle with a problem,
oh God,
So
no, God,
that's
no.
very cool. So, what would you say is something that is probably the most important thing you and your wife talked about prior to making a decision to up and move to another country? Like, what would you give somebody's advice on to make that right
You know,
decision?
you can do it. I mean, if something's calling you, my wife is, third grade teacher, and she's a great teacher. She tells me stories, and she's so good with the kids, and she it seems like she really enjoys it, but she just dreads, she kind of was in your boat, it just gives her anxiety, like having to go and this and that, and she was offered when she went to work for the school district, after 5 years, I think it was, she could apply for a sabbatical. And she always talked about it like, oh my gosh, we're going to take a sabbatical and go to a different country for a year and I'm going to teach and this and that. And I was like, that sounds awesome. So I had let the new owners know when they came in, like, hey, this is a possibility that I might leave for a year on a sabbatical, because my wife was going to put in for this. Well, she put in last year and they denied her. They said that they would give her leave of absence without pay and still be able to retain her position.
Hmm.
So I says, and it was deadlines and whatnot. And we had like the weekend to put together a proposal for absence with leave of absence without pay. And I was like, you know what? Let's wait a year. We'll dial the house in, and then we'll pick a place. Like, and then, I'd like to go back to Cozumel. I like to scuba dive. I'm an avid diver, and she says, that sounds good. So she put in for the sabbatical again this year, got denied, but they gave her the leave of absence without pay. If you watch my TikTok video, I read my sabbatical proposal and my work granted it to me. So,
Wow.
so we're just going to try it for a year. I'm thinking that I definitely will come back as I said I would come back, but I don't know how long I'll last. If it's, this all works out, then maybe that's an option. The Philippines look really good for diving. It's super cheap. We can live off the rent that we get from our house. We just kind of want to travel and explore. 50 years old. I'm not going to work till 65 and find out I'm old and decrepit. And, I think by the time I hit 70, 65, 70 years old, I'm going to want a couch and a TV,
Yeah.
not go run around the world and learn languages and explore, you
Well,
know.
I was talking today with my friends on the hike. I said, I wish life was backwards, right? I used to always tell people I did my life backwards. I had a kid first, and then I got a job, and I had a kid, then a house, then a good career, right? Then got married. And it's, I did my life backwards. I'm like, I wish we could really do all of life backwards. Spend our teen years exploring the world, and 20s just going out and making a life for ourselves and having fun. And then as you get older, then you slow down, settle down, and go have a job where you just kind of sit at the desk and you know fall apart. I guess I don't know, but no, I
Yeah, but then
was.
you have all the knowledge and it's weird how if you ever look at the pyramid, you have, when you're young, you have time and you have
Mhm.
health, but you ain't got much money. And then, as you get older, you got the money, but you ain't got the time and you still have the health. And as you get really old, you don't have the health, but you got the money and now you have
Mhm.
the time and then the time is too late. Like you don't have the time anymore.
Yes. Yep. And that's. I think you're feeling the same thing I did. It's time to go explore the world. It's time to go see something. Like I'll figure out how to make money later. Like it's very
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah,
um, but yeah,
absolutely.
when you're talking about scuba diving, I kind of want to bring this up. So I've part of my journey lately is wanting to face my fears. Right? I've there's things that I'm absolutely scared of. I won't touch a snake. I don't like touching fish. Yet I'm about to go look at a fishing charter company. Um, and sharks were the next thing, right? We have this fear of sharks, and scuba diving. You probably have interacted or seen sharks, and
We went for a shark dive last June we were down in Mexico and did a bull shark dive, and it was amazing. I mean, they were with you could touch them,
Wow.
12-foot sharks right in front of you.
Yeah. So that's my journey right now that I'm going to do. I told my daughter, she works at the zoo and she's recently learning, or she's holding animals and handling them, and she's overcoming her fear of holding a snake. And I told her, I said, if you can show me that you're comfortable holding a snake, I know people do it and I know it's normal, but for me, it's a massive fear. I said, you show me that you can do it and I will try it. I will face that fear. And then my next one is a shark. I want to dive with a shark. Gone or snorkeling before, but never done scuba. So I've got to learn that, get certified. But that's the fear that I want to face after I touch a dang snake. So
Yeah,
I'd love
scuba
to.
is just amazing for me. I mean, I love rafting because it's just effortless. You go down the river, the view is always changing.
Mhm.
Cozumel is super cool because it's a lot of drift diving. You don't really work at all. You don't even have to kick your flippers other than to steer.
Wow.
And it's you're weightless. It's like the next best thing to being in space. You know, you're just there's no weight. Everything's weightless, and you can just maneuver wherever you want to go and just observe everything.
Mm.
It's surreal.
Wow.
It is calling me down there to do more diving. I want to get I'm advanced scuba right now. I have an instructor buddy that lives on the island. I'm gonna hit him up and see if he can't get me master diver because I would that sounds like a great opportunity too. Just take people out diving,
Yeah.
like make a couple bucks that way. You know, I think get a freaking we ain't gonna get rich off of it, but I
No.
think just, it'll be living life rather than working to just pay bills.
That's what they say. You do what you love. You never work a day in your life. So
Darn
I,
right.
that's awesome. Well, yeah. I guess in closing, really, as we kind of wrap some time up, but is there anything else that you feel that you'd like to share with the world or with me, or any questions you'd like to ask me?
You know, if you can think it, do it. You know, if a thought comes in your head, it's there for a reason. You know, act on it. Don't beat around the bush. Even if you need to get your ducks in a row, or even if you need to put in for a sabbatical to try something, but don't ever go through life and say, you know, I wish I would have done that. Just do it. Do what you're doing. Do what I'm doing. What you know, wake up, live life. I mean, that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what it's about. I think you're doing everything right. I wish I had the uh, yeah, you're amazing to me to set all this up and to bring people together. Like I want to help people. It hasn't really been shown in my face yet. I think once I get down to Mexico, that you know that something's going to pop for me, and I'll be able to help people. You know, even if it's fixing a car and being able to trade to go diving or something like that. You know, just a better life. You know, not
Yeah,
that it's bad now. This place served me great for 24 years. I mean, I raised two beautiful kids and it's been great, but it's definitely not serving me now. And when things aren't serving you, it's time to move. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to follow your journey as well and see things from Mexico. And maybe that's a trip that me and my wife are going to take to come visit you, and you can teach us how to dive. So
that'd be
that
awesome.
would be
Yeah,
so
we're gonna
fun.
YouTube the whole trip. We're gonna probably start at our garage sale here at Memorial Day weekend. We're having a big garage sale, and then we're gonna document our whole trip on YouTube and TikTok. TikTok
Nice.
probably more daily, and then YouTube we'll probably post videos. We'll probably get a few videos together, figure out how to edit and all that stuff, and do all that, or just keep it raw like you, unedited and
Yeah.
unfiltered is
Yeah.
super cool too.
Like I said, it's easy because I don't know how to do it anyway. So just keep it real, keep it raw. There's nothing changing, and just record it, post it, and let people like it if they like it. So,
Right.
but yeah. Well, Travis, I
Well,
appreciate
congrats.
your time. So yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate your
this has been
time. I thought we
awesome.
were
So
15 minutes. I hope I didn't take too much of it up.
no, this was perfect. So yeah, I appreciate you, and I'm going to follow your journey. And like I said, maybe we do a second setup or a second episode, or I don't know what I'm calling these. So we'll have a follow up call then and see how life goes here in a few months for you when you get down there.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah, and good luck up there in Alaska. I hope everything works out, and I know you're just going to have a great time.
Yeah,
Just keep it fun.
for
That's all you got
sure.
to do.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, sir, and have a great day, a great week.
All right, my friend. Take
Okay,
care.
we'll see you.
Bye now.